Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Wednesday, January, December 13th, 2023. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card we are starting our day off with today, 3 of Cups. We love to see this, especially because we've been seeing that there's been a lot of circumstances and situations having to do this week with dealing with situations of energy outside of divine union and divine partnership. This is almost, again, the energy of the more, the merrier. This is that feeling, and I described this yesterday for the energy in divine union and partnership right now, of just amplifying the joy and the happiness that you are finding in divine union. This is the amplification on that. That is the desire for others to share in that sense of joy. And this is, again, a bit of that amplification on what we were recognizing that was happening yesterday. What was happening yesterday? Masculine was moving in the space, deep in the heart space, wanting to effectively emotionally connect with energy, trying to mend fences, build bridges around circumstances and situations that they may feel in some way, shape, or form require a level or degree of healing. Feminine expressing a little bit more caution in that area. Feminine being a little bit like let's make sure we don't kick a hornet's nest accidentally in our desire to build or mend these fences. But we see here that this is that moment that masculine and feminine are almost moving in that same vibration. This potentially could even be masculine saying, it can't hurt to try to heal. It can't hurt to try to heal. As long as we move in that vibration of healing, what is the harm in trying to heal? Masculine and feminine almost coming into better alignment. And again, this can almost be articulating too for the energy in divine union and partnership right now, that masculine's own opening of the heart space here is effectively energetically or spiritually contagious to a certain extent. It's like they're bringing the feminine energy on board in terms of the amplifying their own sense of joy. We like to see this right now because this is a lot of that focus on positivity coming in right now, specifically in relation not just of the divine union energy, but also the energy surrounding the divine union. This could be a lot of concentration on happy occasions and plans today, potentially even planning around such events. Masculine and feminine that are coming into divine union right now, this is the solution to some of that anxiety that may have been being expressed yesterday as it relates to anything that feels like it was creating pressure on the divine union. In a way, we are seeing that feminine, I was even articulating this yesterday, masculine is trying to underplay something that feels like it was putting pressure on the divine union. Masculine is almost continuing forward in that way because masculine's own feeling right now is trying to amplify that anything that was trying to put pressure on the divine union was probably meant at a point of harmlessness. This is also because feminine potentially even articulated to masculine at this time that one of the reasons that the outside energy didn't want the divine union to form is because it's more fun for outside energy if masculine isn't in divine union. So this is almost masculine energy saying, trying to move into that state or space of optimism, as you will. Feminine is again almost taking the side of the masculine in this modality if this is effectively happening right now, which is almost that point of agreement that as long as the energy is able to shift back into a point of being happy for the divine union forming, as long as that energy had that be like a momentary situation, then everything is effectively copacetic, right? This is almost that moment that's again, it's a fact of the divine union basically saying, regardless of what is happening outside of the divine union, it's fine because the joy is within the divine union and the divine union wants to effectively spread that joy. And it's that amplification right now that says basically that the feminine and masculine coming into divine union aren't necessarily pushing things away from them. They're just almost saying to others, you better get used to it because it's not going anywhere. Masculine and feminine that are in separation right now, this is that feeling of, again, masculine and feminine in separation right now are both coming into this point of clearing of cycles. There's some kind of moment here that feels like a point of celebration. And this point of celebration is either, again, coming into a state or space of healing. If this is masculine energy that is coming back towards feminine with this point of accountability, with this point of recognition on something that they didn't necessarily see that the feminine was trying to show them, that is a cause for celebration right now. Or this is a moment that we are effectively seeing at this time where masculine and feminine are moving forward in separation and they're finding energy that is aligned to their own vibration. We're even recognizing that for a lot of that energy and separation right now, there is this feeling of finding some energy that feels like it is in the same frequency with you, sharing the same story, having the same experience. And that in itself is almost allowing this to be something that is coming into a state or space of catharsis, because that feeling of two energies connecting and saying, me too, this also happened to me, is in a way a cause for celebration, because it's allowing for that experience of deep understanding and joy that is going to help propel the energy and separation forward at this time. Second card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our Four of Swords in its reversal. Now, I'm not surprised to see this. We have, I believe today is the first day of the Mercury retrograde. I do stress, I feel like we've already done a lot of this work for this retrograde already, but we're already coming back into it. It almost is like this preparation moment of being like, bring it on, Mercury retrograde, we're ready. Masculine and feminine energy in divine union. This is almost that sense of like, I have to keep stressing. I feel like the energy in divine unions, like we did our homework ahead of time. Like the retrograde shadow period has almost metaphysically brought a lot of this up already. So masculine and feminine in divine union have kind of gotten ahead of the curve, if you will, in terms of navigating some of these situations and circumstances. It's almost like, you know, they're addressing them before they even come up, right? They're getting to them before they even happen. It's almost like this moment for masculine and feminine being like, they can feel that current there. They can feel it under the earth. They can feel these things coming back up that need to be addressed. But masculine and feminine energy coming into this Mercury retrograde right now is like, bring it on. Bring it on. We're ready for it. Because a lot of this, again, this energetic clearing, if you will, that's been happening in this pre-retrograde experience has almost prepared, it almost is coming through as a feeling of being like, it's okay, we can handle those things rising back up because we've already done the work to be ready for them. We already know how to tackle them. We're already in that modality. It's like, this has been like, kind of like, this is like feeling like the tailgate party prior to like the Mercury retrograde coming in. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This is that moment that you're just letting bygones be bygones, if you were, as it relates to any of the energy that feels like it was potentially putting pressure on the formation of a divine union occurring. Specifically, due to the fact that we are potentially seeing right now that there is this moment that is almost like literally saying to the energy around the divine unions, that the divine unions kind of manage to come through that gauntlet of energy putting pressure on the divine union forming. This is energy that says you can still be part of this as long as you let it rest. You have to let that point of pressure rest now. You can't necessarily continue to put pressure on the energy as it relates to the divine union forming. As long as they can give it a rest, they're welcome to join at the table, right? So we're seeing here that this is the solution, that the energy of coming into divine union's happening, which is, again, you know, and I will express that one of the things that we're seeing as well is that moment of catharsis right now, and especially due to the fact that, again, masculine, if moving into divine union right now, there is this moment potentially of feeling like, you know, you're putting some of those things away. It's not necessarily that priority for you right now. And that's almost that moment that masculine is almost feeling this amplification of happiness, because this is almost masculine energy moving into divine union right now. And almost like it's going to come through as a little bit of a, I don't want to say a conceit, but there's almost masculine energy being like, well, of course there's energy that's upset seeing me going into divine union. Like, of course that's the case, right? And feminine kind of seeing that as well. But again, this could be feeling right now like a little bit more of a point of anxiety for the feminine energy in this vibration, because this is wanting to see if masculine is going to basically, again, be able to maintain staying in the frequency of divine union. Masculine and feminine right now that are in separation. This is effectively because we see that this is masculine energy that was, again, pulled away from the formation of a divine union occurring by some of that outside energy. And we see here that for the masculine energy in this modality right now, this is that point or opportunity that you're potentially experiencing in separation right now, that, again, you're feeling that sense of joy. You're feeling to potentially like you made the right choice because you're having that period of enjoyment right now outside of partnership. But one of the things that we're seeing here that may be feeling right now a bit difficult is that feeling that something isn't necessarily finished. That in a way, and this is one of the problem areas here for some of the masculine energy and separation, this is almost articulating for some of the masculine and separation, this feeling that you don't necessarily feel like you wanted to move away from divine union. It's almost that moment of feeling like you're putting something off or you're not ready for it. It's almost coming through with this like feeling of assurance or confidence that something will potentially be there when you're ready for it, and that something is effectively dormant, not completely gone. Feminine energy right now in separation, this is feminine energy that is effectively allowing something to come to rest. This isn't a feminine energy that's effectively holding forth right now in terms of feeling like something isn't necessarily finished. This is feminine energy that's effectively moving forward right now with a feeling that someone was willing to allow something to be a point of letting something rest with confidence. This is almost feminine having that point of observation. And feminine almost relating that point to the energy around them and saying to a certain extent, like, yeah, this person probably feels like they can come back anytime they want. And this is almost the feminine being in that point of humor about it. Continuing, because feminine is not holding forth right now. Feminine is not in a space or place where they want to be put on a shelf. Feminine energy is just continuing forward on their own journey towards divine union. Third card in our 5-card spread for today is, we've got here our 4 of Pentacles in its reversal. Masculine and feminine that are in divine union right now. This is that moment. This is really going to amplify as feeling like you've already done the work of the Mercury retrograde ahead of time. This is literally coming through right now as feeling like, the teacher didn't even put the homework assignment down and someone was like, you know what, I knew the homework assignment was coming. I figured this is what we would do. We already went ahead and did it. Here it is. We've done this work. We've already done this work to a certain extent. So this is all that preparation energy that we saw that the divine union energy was coming into, almost like beating things before, like addressing things before the problem arose. We literally saw that over the last month with the energy in divine union, that feminine having that, like what I called like that frantic squirrel energy coming in, masculine almost moving into that point of like shoring up anything that they feel might like be a crack in the wall, if you will. This is masculine and feminine almost coming into a state or space of security and stability, feeling like they've already done that work of effectively assessing what could come up during the retrograde period that could be problematic. Masculine and feminine in divine union right now are like, I already did that. But what about I already did that? But what about I already did that? But what about I already did that? Literally kind of doing that to one another as we move into this retrograde period. Masculine and feminine that are coming into the divine union frequency. This is literally that moment of effectively almost amplifying and articulating to the energy around the divine union that was trying to put some pressure on it. And that moment of effectively almost amplifying and articulating to the energy around the divine union that was trying to put some pressure on it. And I'm sure you meant that as a joke. I'm sure you were just kidding. Feminine almost being like, yes, and we're going to assume that they're just kidding. We're going to give them the benefit of the doubt, if you will. And that moment that's almost amplifying like this point, it's like almost like it's going to feel a little bit right now for the energy outside of the divine union, like a one strike moment, being like, that was one strike, but I'm sure you were just kidding about that. I'm sure you didn't really mean that you didn't want to see me in divine union. I'm sure you wouldn't want that, because why wouldn't you want to see me happy? The energy that's moving into divine union is kind of having this like moment right now that, again, it's kind of feeling like that amplification of letting bygones be bygones. Because again, one of the things that the feminine's potentially feeling right now, if divine union is coming through, is that feeling like the pressure that was put on it almost like made it a sure thing. This feminine's feeling that point of celebration because that pressure did not have its effect and pull masculine out of divine union. It almost amplified the energy that stayed in this as much as how much they truly desire it. This is feminine almost feeling like they saw the masculine energy pass some kind of test about their own conviction in the face of energy that was trying to will them away from their heart's desire. Masculine and feminine that are in separation right now, this is feminine sharing their story. This is feminine regaling to energy around them what effectively occurred. And feminine, again, feeling some cause of celebration as it relates to feeling that experience of others that are relating to them, and also feeling that point of saying, that happened to me too. I also had that happen. This is an experience that I'm having. This is literally the collective energy of feminine finding energy on their own frequency that has experienced these same circumstances and situations. Now, feminine energy in this modality right now, one of the things that we see that is happening that is so important is this fact that is recognizing that amplification, having energy around them right now, that is effectively causing them to have this point, and all seeing that others have also shared this experience. It is fortifying and amplifying feminine's own conviction in terms of continuing to move forward on the path towards divine union at this time, and feeling like, in a way, that feminine doesn't even feel like they're doing that alone, if you will. There's almost a moment right now, and especially with this retrograde coming up, this is almost the energy around the feminine being like almost saying to the feminine at this time, you know, that's probably not over, right? You know, that energy is probably coming back. You know, that individual probably assumes that something between you isn't necessarily over. They're just trying to put off coming into divine union frequency. And this is almost a feminine energy being like, yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right, but I see that. And for the feminine energy right now, it's almost this moment of, again, having the energy around you, almost like helping you assess what you're going to do when that occurs. Masculine energy in separation right now, this is that moment that you're potentially feeling like you can have your cake and eat it too, to a certain extent, because there's something here with the masculine that you're potentially seeing or feeling right now, where you feel that energy of the energy around you right now that is moving you into that feeling of positivity. But it's almost this feeling that something has been left unsaid, something has been left undone, something effectively needs your attention. This is almost like that feeling right now for masculine, if in separation. It's going to feel a little bit like, did I forget something? Is there a pot I left boiling? You know, it's almost that moment right now that feels somewhat bittersweet for masculine, because while you may be in this vibration of a lot of energy around you right now, that is moving in that state or space of positivity, there's this feeling that something feels unfinished, something feels unaddressed, something feels like it is niggling at you. This is that retrograde energy, because that is that karmic lesson that brought you to this point that needs your attention. And for the masculine right now, this is all about where you are putting your attention, about, again, the space and state that you find yourself in at this moment, or addressing that niggling feeling that you're having around some past circumstances or situations that you know effectively feel like they are not finished. They feel open-ended. All about where you're putting your time, effort, and energy at this time. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today. There's that niggling feeling coming to the surface right now, and it's going to have masculine and feminine energy. This is going to have a little bit of different, this is going to be different depending on where you are on these frequencies. Now, masculine and feminine that are in divine union, this is that moment right now that we're seeing that the only thing that is kind of like a point of frustration for the masculine and feminine energy in divine union is navigating the things that you can't see. It's literally navigating the things that you can't see, right? This is almost that moment. It's like, I want to describe this as like this point right now for the divine union energy, feeling like you've already addressed or taken care of, to a certain extent, all of the things that one was trying to do prior to coming into the Mercury retrograde period. It's almost like we've already like done all of that shoring up. We've taken care of all the variables. We've addressed all of the things we need to, but there's almost this moment of observation in relation to those unknown variables, to those things that you can't see, to those things that you can't predicate upon, to those things that, like, you know, there's always that thing that like you don't, that you like, that like slips your mind, if you will. Right? And even right now, as it relates to how the masculine and feminine is moving forward at this time, this is almost going to feel more like this point of just observation that you're effectively giving. And this is going to feel like a bit of a sense of like shared security, if you will. It's almost giving that point right now in amplifying to each other. You know, it's almost this moment of like amplifying to each other to a certain extent, something that is in relation to the fact that like The unknown variables are always going to be there. Those unforeseen circumstances are always going to crop up. The most that you can do is everything that you can foresee, and the things that you can't foresee, you can't foresee. So masculine and feminine right now, this is almost going through right now, and it's going to feel like almost like a lot of like laundry list energy, if you will, for the energy in divine union right now, because it's almost that moment that we are effectively seeing that like is helping you unearth or get to the bottom of some circumstances and situations. But it's almost that sense right now of helping each other make sure that you're tackling those hurdles. That's making sure that you're going through that. And it's going to feel like, again, some of that dark night of the soul energy that we saw that was coming through over the last few days. Those moments are still there. They're still lingering to a certain extent, but a lot of the unpacking that we saw that the energy in divine union has been doing over the last few weeks has been helping to navigate and address them. Because all of this is, again, what are we seeing right now? Mending fences, coming into healing. This is what we see. It's like the solution to those situations and circumstances that feel like they're not in the light of day is almost to shine light on them, if you will. Masculine and feminine that are coming into divine union. And again, almost this point of observation. And I think I described this yesterday as like masculine and feminine and divine union, just trying to like put sunshine on everything. And the only thing that you can't necessarily stop is if you're trying to like bring that energy of like sunshine towards something right now, and they just want to stay in the shade. If like the energy wants to stay in the shade, if someone wants to stay in that modality, this is almost masculine and feminine saying we can't control that either. The most we can do is just move forward from that sense of empathy and positivity and see what occurs. Masculine and feminine that are coming into divine union right now, this has to do with the energy surrounding the formation of the divine union coming into being. This is that moment right now that, again, is giving that pass. It's literally feeling like giving someone a pass as it relates to some circumstances and situations right now, because there's almost this moment of seeing that were some like what could potentially feel like some darts, some pins that were trying to be poked into the formation of the divine union. And what we are effectively recognizing at this time is almost this moment that we see that divine masculine and divine feminine are making the intentional choice to look at something from a moment of not allowing oneself to focus on what could be under the surface of something like that. This is what is really kind of feeling like, again, a one strike policy around some things right now, or almost a moment that is amplifying and saying there has maybe have been something a little under the surface here, but we're going to choose to ignore it. We're going to choose to let that slide, if you will, and just say, as long as they can amplify that they are happy that the divine union is coming into being, then that's all we need to see. And as long as that's that moment of whatever was under the surface that may have led to something that felt like it was trying to pull a divine union apart, as long as someone can effectively let it go, it's almost like, okay, cool, it's fine. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is feminine energy right now. If in separation, it's not the fact that there aren't some hurdles that you're navigating right now. There's still a lot of this heavy energy coming through right now. This is a lot of that dark night of the soul energy that we saw that was coming through over the last few days. But what's valuable and important about this right now is feminine isn't doing this right now in a vacuum. If in separation, feminine is utilizing now those things that hurt, those difficulties, those hurdles, and they're utilizing them as connection points with other feminine energy, utilizing these moments right now, if you will, to amplify and to build connective tissue in with other feminine energy, with other energy around them right now, not necessarily even feminine, just other energy that similarly had the same experiences. This is almost feminine energy coming into their own energetic frequency, even in separation right now. That's starting to feel like, again, it doesn't even feel like separation so much as it feels like an amplification, because this is feminine energy finding other energy that's almost saying, that happened to me too. I understand what you're going through. I understand what's hard to articulate about it. This is almost immediately masculine and feminine, like the feminine energy in this vibration, feeling that like, it doesn't feel so much like the feminine energy is going through this alone so much as the feminine energy feels like that there's a lot of energy around them that is helping carry them forward as they continue forward on this path, and almost affirming to feminine what they experienced to a certain extent in relation to the fact that they were almost articulating that they had also experienced same in kind. Masculine energy in separation right now. This is that moment. It's going to feel a little bit more like you feel like you've forgotten something, right? It almost feels like there's something here that, like, again, some energy almost like pulled you away from the divine union frequency. It like pulled you away from it. And it's almost this moment right now that, again, it's like you're almost like, I'm getting here, it's like you're almost forgetting that you are almost in divine union. It's almost like you're forgetting that you are in divine union. It's almost like, you're looking at something right now and you're like not being able to put your finger on it. It's feeling like that's that sensation that something is effectively missing to a certain extent. But again, it's almost like you're allowing yourself in this space or state of distraction, but it's a distraction that feels like something is missing. And in that modality right now, this could be feeling like a little bit of a quagmire for the masculine energy and separation right now, because it's almost that moment where it's like you're allowing yourself to move into some spaces and places of distraction, but there's something going on under. It's almost like the energy around you can almost say like there's something going on with you. Are you okay? Because there's something, again, that you're effectively trying to unpack to a certain extent, because you're moving through this state of unpacking these things for yourself at this moment. This is coming through, again, for the masculine energy right now. This is going to feel a lot more like a lot of internal journeying, even at a moment that you should be like going through some periods or situations that feel like they should be a lot of fun. They should be the amplification of the fun. It's not feeling so much fun right now. So much now as masculine, it's like you're not, it's almost like, I'm going to say this feels like potentially for masculine energy and separation right now, some feeling of dissociation, if you will, or almost feeling like you're only halfway invested in those moments at this time. Fifth card in our 5-card spread. Because it's almost this moment for masculine where it's like you're seeing something under the surface within oneself that you didn't necessarily see before. Like I said, that optics that you're experiencing within your own person, you can't just turn it off. You just have to come into that point of understanding. Fifth card in our 5-card spread for today, this is that energy. Masculine and feminine that are in divine union at this time. For the masculine and feminine energy in divine union at this time, this is exactly what we're seeing as it relates to that point of addressing those situations and circumstances. Masculine, again, wanted to just kind of put that point out, allow that care, allow that empathy to guide them. Feminine has been in a modality of being a lot more reserved in doing that. Feminine's been a lot more cautious in doing that. Because with masculine right now, masculine is in this modality we're seeing of wanting to like build bridges and mend fences. Feminine is more in this modality of being a little more conscientious and not wanting to kick a hornet's nest. Remember, that's how I described it yesterday. Masculine and feminine in this modality right now, this is that moment of, again, potentially navigating these situations and circumstances in relation to the things from the past that may need addressing. Masculine is keeping a bit more of a positive, carefree mentality to it. It's like, it's almost like this cavalier approach in terms of how to address some circumstances right now, even like beyond anything that can't be seen in them. Feminine is taking a much more reserved approach around these circumstances or situations, because feminine has had experiences where, why is the feminine in this vibration? This is a little trauma. This is a little triggering to feminine, because what is feminine seeing masculine doing? Feminine is going through the experience of seeing masculine do something that they themselves have done in the past, that is burn the feminine. Feminine has had moments that they have allowed their heart space to guide them, that their intentions were pure. And it hasn't necessarily bounced back on them in a positive way. There's been moments where the feminine energy's own pure, loving intention effectively injured or harmed the feminine in some deep space in their heart space. This is why we see that the feminine, it's like feminine's almost like watching the masculine like run across the street and being like, be a little careful, be a little, you're not sure, like you have to be a little bit cautious, because leading with your heart space can be dangerous territory. It's not always the safe space, right? This is feminine almost trying to like tell the masculine to have a little bit of caution in this area, because feminine's like, it can, you don't understand, it can happen. Like, you can have the best of intentions from an emotional place and still experience that heart wound. Masculine and feminine that are coming into divine union right now, this is why we see that the feminine is taking something a little bit more seriously than the masculine is. Because this is, again, a moment that both energies are having this point right now, especially if someone put pressure on a divine union forming. That is almost this modality that we're seeing of masculine trying to almost say to the feminine, I'm sure whatever they said, they just meant it from a point of fun. I'm sure that they were just joking. I don't think that they actually didn't want the divine union to form. Or at least that's what we're going to say. That's what we're going to assume. That's what we're going to assume happened. And this is almost feminine saying to a certain extent, well, yeah, as long as that was once that they said it, you know. And it's almost like masculine being like, I'm sure it was just a joke. And feminine being like, it's not that funny of a joke. It's not that funny. I don't find anything amusing about it, but okay, we'll assume, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt that they were just having some harmless fun about the divine union forming. Both energies almost like internally not navigating to themselves that point of recognition and feeling like there was potentially something under the surface of anything that was trying to tear the divine union apart, but just almost making that mutual agreement and saying, we're just going to put that in a file cabinet and remember as long as it doesn't happen again. Masculine and feminine that are, and again, that's going to be hard because that's basically masculine feeling like, again, some outside energy around the partnership did try to take a knockdown at like the energy of the divine union forming. And masculine is actually doing this right now to protect the feminine energy, because masculine is also seeing it as such, but doesn't want the feminine to have to take it too deeply. Feminine is also seeing it, and feminine's potentially allowing it to be underplayed for the sake of not kicking a hornet's nest. Same energy as the energy already in the divine union frequency. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is feminine energy sharing. If this is a masculine that was pulled away by those harmless jokes, if this was a masculine that had the dissolution of the divine union occur because someone's harmless joke about them going into union was enough to pull them away and out of the frequency. This is masculine feeling like they just, something's lost. Something is missing. Masculine, you might even be feeling like you can't put your finger on it. Like you were almost, that something was about to happen and now it's gone. So there's been some kind of change. Something is gone. Something is dissolved. It's not going to be the same right now. Because again, you find yourself in this modality right now. You find yourself in this energy around you. You made that choice. You moved away from the feminine, and it's almost that moment that you're almost seeing right now, that it feels like there's like a landscape now between you and the energy that you are moving towards right now. You couldn't be further apart, because it's that moment that you allowed that doubt, you allowed that those jokes, you allowed those harmless jabs to pull you out of the divine union frequency. And now there's almost this moment, if this just happened, masculine, there's almost this moment that you're experiencing and you're feeling like something just evaded your grasp. Something that you wanted is gone, but now it's like almost like you can't even put your finger on it to a certain extent. You know, it's almost that moment because again, it was taken from you by the energy around you that pulled you away from that vibration. For the masculine energy in this modality, there is this almost like feeling you're potentially having, if in separation right now, of something that was like almost in your grasp, but you're almost even seeing right now that there's been some change in that feminine energy that you feel like you can't even put your finger on, but it feels like they're no longer accessible to you to a certain extent, because this is a feminine energy that saw you make that choice. They saw you move towards the energy of the group and away from them as you are in the midst of being about to form the divine union. And this is now like that unfathomable territory where you were so close, but now you could never be further away. Feminine energy in separation right now, feminine's regaling, feminine's telling others that this occurred. Feminine's saying like, yeah, they didn't see what happened. They didn't see how we were so close to having everything. And that person just let the energy around them take everything away from us. We were so close to coming into the divine union, we could almost taste it. And at the last minute, they just let that other energy just poof, take it away. For masculine and feminine in this modality right now, it's that amplification that effectively occurred. That's like getting that supportive energy. And this is feminine almost immediately feeling and having that point of others around them saying, I've had that happen too. I've been there. I've experienced that. And in a way, that is almost reaffirming to the feminine both the experience that they had in that moment of understanding, that moment of recognition, that moment of having been so close to something and then having it almost like vanish into thin air, and almost having that point of being impossible to articulate because what was becoming real vanished at the last moment. This is almost the energy around the feminine saying, we've had like, yes, that's also happened. And in a way, this is positive for the feminine in this experience right now, because it's almost the feminine getting that sense of validation that what they experienced is true. Like it did exist. It did exist in some space or place. And it's that amplification. It's almost like the feminine is missing what could have been, were it not for someone not having the conviction to hold forth in the face of the outside energy, right? Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between Three of Cups in combination with our Four of Swords. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Ace of Wands. What is amplifying the feminine's manifestations right now? The feminine in separation right now. What is amplifying the manifestation? We've been saying it all week. The reason the feminine is feeling this point right now of support and validation and conviction on their path is feminine effectively affirming to themselves, what's happened once can happen again. If it happened once, it can happen again. And feminine always saying to themselves, because this is a feminine energy that's saying that lack of ability in something coming to fruition was not due to the feminine themselves lacking the conviction in doing it. It has to do with the energy around them lacking the ability to hold that point, hold that vibration, hold that frequency with them. They like touched the frequency and then they fell out of it. They were pulled away from it. This is feminine almost reaffirming to themselves that what they did once they can do again. They just need to find the right energy that can maintain the frequency with them. Divine union's a frequency. So feminine's trying to come back into it. And this is feminine almost again allowing this to be a modality and saying to themselves, this is a moment. This is like, I'm going to describe this right now. The best way I can describe this is if feminine energy came this close to finding divine union. It's like feminine energy like reached up and like touched a chord and then jumped back down and was like, I can reach that. I touched it. I just need the right boost. I just need the right energy with me to help me stay in that modality. Feminine around them right now is almost amplifying the fact that feminine is in this moment of resting and restoring and articulating to those around them their experiences prior to this point so that they can do it again. And this is that amplification that she's getting from the energy around them, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Something that's been done once can be done a second time, right? This is like someone being like, I landed a three-pointer. If I've landed a three-pointer once, I can do it again. Masculine in separation right now. This could be a moment that feels strange. It's like, this is going to feel like a little bit like a weird energy for the masculine in separation, because it feels, I'm going to describe this as like someone feeling like to a certain extent like you misplaced your glasses. It's like that moment of being like, I swear I was doing something that was really important. It was really important to me. There was something that I was getting to, I've lost it. I can't remember. It's almost like that moment for masculine that, again, you're potentially moving back into this vibration of being around a bunch of energy, you know, moving with the energy itself, but not necessarily like, and allowing that to be like a center where you're putting your passion in. But that's because you were in the midst, potentially, if you came that close to this, you were about to create something that was not there. And then you lost it, like you fell back out of it. And this is that moment that, again, it may be feeling like you're kind of going through this moment that, like, it feels like something isn't addressed. It feels like you're missing something. It feels like something that, you know, and it's potentially even a moment that you can't necessarily put your finger on it, because, again, something about this is the fact that whatever you were trying to create in that moment, you allowed the outside energy to pull you away from. You allowed them to, like, influence you to such an extent that now it's like it was never there. So for masculine right now, this could be a moment that, like, feels a lot like you're putting that center of action right now back into your pleasure points. It's almost like coming back into that moment, if you're in separation masculine right now, where a lot of this energy is potentially just driving forth in terms of the realms of passion right now, but almost this feeling that something is missing, that something is like niggling at you. Masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency right now. This is that moment that we're effectively seeing, wherein you are moving in that vibration. You just created this. You've created it. You've created the divine union. The divine union's form. The issue around it right now is now that outside in approach, in feeling like the energy around you right now, it impacted it. I told you, it's like the divine union was almost like a pebble you dropped in the water, and this is the ripples of it. And this is almost that moment in terms of seeing some of that, almost like this point of observation that you're saying. It's just like, it's okay. It's okay for energy to have a little bit of a reactivity point when we first drop a ripple into something. Let's see how it plays out. Let's see if that energy can smooth out, or if it's going to continue to cause that point of conflict in the divine union forming. And this is masculine and feminine almost giving a pass to anything that feels like it caused that shutter point, in terms of saying, like, it's okay, right? Give it a little time to see and let the energy effectively recognize that this isn't something that is going away. This is something that, like, is actually occurring. Masculine and feminine right now that are in union or in divine union, this is that moment that, again, is actually just feeling like a point of getting a lot of things done right now. And it feels very positive and productive. A lot of this right now is almost that feeling of having, again, like, shored up whatever you needed to shore up, taking care of the things that you needed to take care of. And it's allowing for the state of being able to rest and to celebrate, if you will. It's almost creating that space or place where masculine and feminine almost have this moving feeling coming into the Mercury retrograde, if in divine union, being like, we've done everything we need to do. We did all the things. We're doing all the things. And that sense of security right now is almost allowing you to have that point of, again, either enjoying oneself or resting. It's really up to you. It's like enjoyment or rest in terms of functionality. So this is like that beautiful, like, battery effect in terms of just deciding, like, what you choose to do in that modality. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, between our Four of Swords in combination with our Four of Pentacles. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our 10 of Wands in its reversal. Masculine and feminine in divine union and partnership right now. This is that moment that just feels like a point of easement. It's allowing for some points of easement to come into play. It's allowing for some moments right now of being able to feel like you're putting down some burdens right now, because it's almost this moment that we see that both energies are in this modality of feeling like one has done everything that one can do. Like one has done everything that one could do to a certain extent. And this is allowing for this moment or opportunity of peace, of easement, of just like relaxing into that, if you will. And it does feel like, again, it is this moment that it's not the fact that this peace or easement is coming due to a lack of effort. This is feeling like one has put a lot of effort in at this moment, but it's valuing the fact that that energy that you've been putting into things right now is allowing you to have that degree of not necessarily worrying about the things that you can't control. You're just effectively coming into that space or place of recognizing and feeling like you've done everything you can in the meantime. And whatever is out of that control is effectively out of the control of that. Masculine and feminine that are moving into divine union frequency. What we are effectively seeing here is that moment that, again, you're letting something rest. You're not taking on the responsibility or burden of it, because we're almost seeing that for the energy of the divine union, one of the reasons that you're able to stay in the divine union frequency is a lack of care about the outside energy. The lack of care is effectively the key. It's almost this moment that's amplifying that were you to care too much about that outside frequency, well, that would be the thing that like zaps you out of the divine union frequency. So we almost see here that that lack of care, that like ability to let something like roll off of your back like a duck, that in itself is almost that affirmation that you're giving each other right now, if in the divine union frequency, that is allowing that point of easement as you proceed forward from this point. It's almost like that moment of almost being like, it's almost like forgetting or lacking care about these things because they're not that important to you. It's not really important to you the whether, like what the energy outside of the divine union thinks about the divine union being in divine union. That's why it's a divine union. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. What we are effectively seeing is this is that moment that for feminine, this is allowing the karmic clearance around any circumstances or situations wherein this occurred. This is feminine almost immediately just sharing with whatever energy is around them right now, that effectively feminine's found a connection point here if in separation. Feminine feels like this is something that they can articulate on. This is feminine sharing their own experiences in this way, and it is bringing the feminine energy some peace and closure around things that they may not necessarily have experienced prior to this point. Because it's that moment, it's that unburdening, if you will, that release of that is almost amplifying to feminine that there is a cycle that is effectively closed, because the feminine is moved into that space or place where it's not something that they're holding within themselves so much as they're telling others right now, that feels like, again, like letting that burden down, because feminine is acknowledging what that narrative is. Feminine is able to now amplify and express it. And it is that point that, again, is almost immediately bringing to the feminine a very high level of peace and easement, because this is almost the feminine energy having that point of confidence in themselves. And this is the important thing, that the feminine energy that's moved into that divine union frequency is almost coming to that realization and saying to themselves, why can't I reach it myself? Do I actually need the divine masculine there? And masculine in this modality right now, feminine is almost realizing that moment, that unburdening is almost the feminine coming into that center for themselves, finding that higher frequency within their own self right now that is helping them effectively come into the peace that they almost felt like they were seeking right now, that in the divine union frequency, because this is the feminine recognizing that that level or degree of coming into that focus center is something that they can achieve within their own selves. Masculine in separation right now, this is again something that feels potentially a little bit more difficult for you at this time, because there is something here that may be feeling like there was some feeling of peace. There was some kind of like feeling of peace or easement that you were coming into to a certain extent. But it's almost like, again, if you were pulled away from that from outside energy around you, it's almost like feeling like you can't put your finger on it. You can't really explain. You can't explain what you were feeling. You can't explain what you had with that person. And it's that moment that we're potentially seeing right now for the masculine energy and this vibration, this moment that, again, something about where you find yourself right now, if you made this choice of moving back with the energy around you and fulfilling your own passion center, it may feel like a point that now feels a little unsatisfying, because it's almost like you touched upon something, you grazed something that felt different. It felt different than something that you experienced before. And now it's almost trying to almost ask yourself in internal moment, what was that I felt? What that I experienced? What is this that I can't let go of? What is it? Why does it feel like I've forgotten something instead of being able to release something? It's because you came very close to that frequency, and then you allowed the energy around you to kind of take away what you were creating. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, between the Four of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with the Moon card. One card to clarify, please. Page of Swords. Masculine and feminine that are in divine union and partnership right now. There is that moment that we're effectively seeing. Then again, this is going to feel to a certain extent like that center of easement, because masculine and feminine, I need to stress that even for the energy right now in the divine union frequency, we are seeing that the only thing that you like, and this is why I keep describing this as like energetic preparation right now. Okay, this is like energetic preparation that we're seeing right now for the energy that's in that divine union, because what we're effectively seeing is almost this moment that like you're taking care, the energy in divine union is trying to take care of all the variables. Anything that they can address, they're trying to address right now. The only thing, this is actually very sweet, the only thing that the masculine and feminine energy, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, cannot address are the things that they cannot see. It's like they're the only things. It's like, this is like shadow boxing, if you will. It's almost coming through in a masculine and feminine divine union, being like the only variable that we cannot address is the unknown variable. But even in the unknown variable right now, we see that masculine and feminine feel like they're preparing to navigate the unknown variables by like, again, like shoring up all the tangibles, if you will, to be able to address any of the unknown variables that may effectively like rise up, if you will. Masculine and feminine that are coming into the divine union frequency is this moment that we're effectively seeing that, again, this is letting something go unsaid. This is like letting something slide, that there's this feeling of something much more deeper under the surface that may have been implied or articulated around it. This is like giving a little bit of forgive but don't forget energy to a certain extent here. You know, we're trying to get to the bottom of something, of feeling like, again, looking at something right now and seeing something and almost feeling that sense that whatever this pressure was that was coming towards the divine union, that was shaking it or rattling it, it's almost that moment of looking at something, and again, it's questioning the harmlessness of something versus the lack of harmlessness. Was this something that feels like it was just something that was an off-the-cuff comment? Or was there something deeper at work? Was there some kind of deeper motivation? Masculine and feminine energy are effectively adopting a wait and see approach on it. Feminine is feeling a lot more touchy about it, we will say. A lot more cautious, because feminine's taking it more as a personal injury, if you will. Masculine is almost moving into a space or place of getting somewhat defensive. Because again, if this is a masculine energy that has energy around them, that is, if the masculine is staying in the divine union frequency, the only way the masculine is going to be able to stay in that divine union frequency is masculine calling a halt to it. If this is masculine energy that has energy around them, where like there's something about the energy trying to like poke holes or, you know, take shots at the feminine, this is almost masculine immediately maintaining the vibration in terms of saying, calling a halt to something and saying like, hey, you know that thing you said, you can't ever say it again. Or, okay, that's enough there. That's enough of the jokes. That's enough of that. It's got to stop now. It's not funny. It's almost masculine immediately coming into that point of starting to see something. And again, masculine almost trying to like diminish it to the feminine, being like, it's not that big a deal. But masculine actually saying like, it is a big deal. I'm going to stop that. I'm going to make sure that that stops. Because that's a masculine almost, again, feeling like they are protecting not just the feminine, but what they're trying to manifest, which is the divine union. Feminine in separation right now, this is feminine seeking out new energy to maintain the divine union frequency with. Because this is a feminine right now that, again, it's like feminine almost feels right now, if in separation, they came very close to it. They had that moment. They've been there. They've been in that fight. This is feminine being like, I've seen it. I've touched it. I know it exists. I can come back into that. I can come back into that space. Feminine being like, it's like, this is almost feminine being like, it's like the mystery of something is almost like gone. Feminine's almost like, I just need to find the right person that understands the divine union so that we can maintain that energy together. And this is feminine effectively like, this is feminine going back into that role of seeking, because this is now feminine being like, I know what I'm looking for. I just need to find someone that's willing to defend and protect it when we find it. Masculine in separation right now, this is that moment that's going to feel like a little bit of restlessness. This is masculine energy that's potentially moving into this like vibration of restlessness, if you will, almost coming into this like space or place. And it's feeling a little bit like masculine. I'm going to keep describing this. It's almost feeling like energetically or spiritually, you feel like you lost your glasses. This is this moment that you're potentially feeling, being like, I had something. There was something, I had something and it's gone. It was right here a minute ago, but it's not here anymore. What was that? What was that I felt? This is masculine, like almost having this point of uncertainty. And almost, again, if this is a masculine that was pulled back into separation from outside energy, this could even be a masculine that's trying to go towards the feminine that they had this with and suddenly feeling like it's gone. It's like it's like being in the presence of this feminine. It's like that feeling you had is gone because this is a feminine that has closed themselves off to you to such an extent that they don't feel like they can come into that openness with you to build that frequency, because you've effectively shown them that you can't protect the divine union. And so this is almost a masculine, even if this is a masculine now trying to return back to a feminine, it's almost that feeling of being like something is gone here, because you effectively allowed it to dissolve and to disappear the moment that you let the other energy pull you away from the feminine. It's like the moment you let them pull you away, that frequency that you were building with the feminine just gone. So masculine, this is potentially has you in this moment right now that you're feeling like confused or uncertain, like you're missing something, but you don't know what you're looking for. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Feminine knows what they're looking for. They're just looking for the right masculine to be able to maintain it. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Between our Moon card in combination with our Empress card in its reversal, may I please have one card to clarify? This is good. We've got here our Nine of Wands in its reversal. Masculine and feminine in divine union. This is the masculine coming into the aid of feminine. This is the masculine coming into the support of the feminine. Because again, what are we seeing right now that's happening for the energy of the divine union? This is masculine that wants to lead with their heart space right now. This is masculine energy that wants to lead with their heart space. This is masculine energy coming into emotional balance, wanting to like bring healing right now, even around some circumstances and situations that they feel like healing isn't necessarily like require that, like it's like this unpacking of potentially old karmic wounds, wanting to build that point of healing, potentially even opening up to feminine about it. Feminine's being a little bit more like, whoa, Nelly, like slow it down. Like that could be like, you could be opening a box here. Masculine potentially moving into that divine union frequency and saying to feminine, like, why are you so worried? I'm just, how is leading with love going to be harmful? And feminine energy is going, look at all of human history. Feminine's going, look at all of human history. Feminine energy is literally being like, look at my history. Feminine is being like, feminine energy is like, leading with love. Sometimes love isn't enough. Like, this is feminine almost literally saying to masculine, like, love sometimes isn't enough. Like, let me tell you what's happened to me when I've had moments that I've tried to lead with love. So this is a feminine almost trying to amplify to masculine why they're feeling at that anxiety of opening up their heart space. And what is masculine doing in that modality? You know, feminine's almost saying to masculine, you don't know what could happen. And masculine's going, don't worry. I've got you. It doesn't matter, because you don't need to be worried about that, because this is almost masculine saying to feminine, the reason you felt like that is because you were alone at those moments. And you're not alone now. We're not doing this alone. We're doing this together. And that's what's going to make the difference. So feminine immediately having masculine, giving them that vote of confidence in terms of moving forward and leading with love in this way by saying, you don't have to worry about someone hurting you if you lead with love right now, because I'm not going to let that happen. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This is masculine energy that, again, and it's going to feel a little bit like masculine isn't being completely open to feminine about how they're potentially addressing or navigating some circumstances or situations right now. Because what we are effectively identifying here is this is a masculine that is trying to downplay something that occurred in the formation of the divine union happening, where some energy around them tried to pull the divine union apart. And it started, how did the energy try to pull the divine union apart? By speaking negatively about the divine feminine. Speaking negatively or casting some doubt on the feminine energy. And so again, for the energy that's in the divine union, this is masculine also seeing the same energy that we just saw, and masculine saying, you don't need to worry about it. And feminine being like, I'm a little worried. Like, why would they say something like that? And this is masculine saying, I'm not going to let anyone speak poorly of you. I'm not going to let the energy around me speak poorly of you, because I see that that's them trying to tear the divine union apart. This is literally the masculine energy almost affirming to themselves, even if they're not saying it to the feminine. This is that self-affirmation and saying they see almost to a certain extent why some of that energy, like what that deeper implication was. And masculine almost saying like, no, that's not going to happen. This is the masculine getting defensive of the feminine if staying in divine union and saying, as long as it doesn't happen again, everything's fine. But actually masculine making sure it's not going to happen again, and potentially even beyond what the feminine knows about it. Feminine, if coming into divine union right now, this is that feeling of anxiety, potentially again, because this is a feminine, if seeing this, is almost feminine registering that there's energy potentially around the masculine that is not necessarily, that's trying to pull them out of divine union. And this is feminine energy that, again, it's almost like feminine is still maintaining that anxiety point, that while there is a masculine right now that is maintaining that frequency and holding strong to it, the fact is that feminine's almost seeing this as energy that is around the masculine that is challenging what the masculine is trying to create with the feminine. So this is going to feel like more of an anxiety point for the feminine, because this is the feminine that feels the anxiety of the masculine potentially moving back out of that vibration due to the energy around them that's clearly trying to tug them in that direction. Feminine energy in separation right now, this is feminine energy effectively recognizing and identifying that this happened. And as I said, potentially even sharing this information with new energy that they are approaching to help them understand and articulate what they've experienced. And how effectively, again, feminine is in that moment of anxiety, because again, feminine's almost saying, like, almost amplifying to the masculine that they're moving towards right now, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Like, yeah, this person didn't even see what was happening. I saw what was happening like a million miles away. I couldn't show them that. There's no way I could articulate to them that this was occurring, but that's almost that moment that feminine is utilizing that experience right now to amplify just how like the frustration point, because feminine almost feels right now that there's like that injustice in terms of an energy that didn't even necessarily like, that felt like they were moving from a point of autonomy, but really was just this moment of being too easily influenced by the energy around them. So this is feminine almost amplifying on that to help build that clarification point for themselves, to help them come into that state of healing, to build that center of coming into a space of being able to trust their own heart again. Because feminine is almost amplifying that this is a moment that feminine realizes and recognizes that the goal is to make sure that they're opening up their heart space to energy that shows a conviction in their ability to identify that other outside energy may have their own opinions and decisions on things. Masculine energy in separation right now, there's something here that you're potentially feeling. And for some of the masculine energy right now, this could be you trying to move back towards the feminine after other energy pulled you away from them, and seeing something about this feminine energy that feels more closed off. It feels more guarded. It's not the same. It's almost this feeling for masculine right now of trying to return back to a feminine, that something about them feels different. Something you can't put your finger on. And this is a feminine that effectively is in that modality, because this is a feminine that has closed their heart space off to you. This is a feminine that feels like there's some things under the surface that you haven't revealed to them. This is even a moment where, like, again, this is a moment, if you didn't articulate masculine, that there were energies around you right now that were pulling, it's almost this like weird feeling like you're almost like, how does she know? It's almost this moment of being like, it seems like she knows. And almost trying to like alleviate those fears, but almost like recognizing something about the feminine, even if you haven't articulated it to them, it almost seems like she knows. And it's that moment, again, for masculine, that is that moment that is hard, because suddenly it feels like you were so close to having something with someone, but suddenly that energy, it's like a rose that just like closed its petals back up. It's gone. It's like, and it's almost like it feels like a completely different energy. Because the feminine almost, again, it's like you can sense the things that you haven't said to them. It's like the feminine can see all of those hidden things that you may have not been revealing. It's like you can almost feel like the feminine can see them there. And this is that moment that, again, if you're not being open to the feminine about what's been occurring, it feels like this energy has just become extremely inaccessible to you. Because this is almost a feminine, and you're even saying to yourself, wonder what's different. And even for the masculine, if there were other feminines that pulled you away from you coming into divine union, it's almost like those energies are like that as well. It's almost like those energies are like that as well. And for the masculine in this modality right now, there could be something that's happening right now with the feminine energy around you that feels somewhat confusing. But you can't put your finger on it. And that's because masculine energy, if you were moving into divine union and a bunch of other feminine energies pulled you out of divine union, you basically told all of those energies that they weren't your heart's desire. So there's this moment right now that may feel a little confusing for you, because that could identify that there's a lot of feminines around you right now that don't effectively feel like they can trust you. Because they can't. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Between our Ace of Wands in its reversal in combination with our 10 of Wands in its reversal, may I please have one card to clarify? We've got here our 10 of Cups in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy in divine union. This is that moment that we are effectively seeing that, again, for the energy in the divine union frequency, this is that moment that this is addressing All of those things that feel like they're preventing you from being able to move to that ideal manifestation goal. And what we like about this right now is for the energy in divine union, this is that moment that we're effectively seeing that is allowing you to have a lot of observations in terms of understanding whatever feels like it is standing in the way of the long-term manifestation goal coming into fruition. For masculine and feminine right now, this is that moment that it almost just feels like this is going to feel like a lot of shop work that you're effectively doing. It almost feels like you're doing a lot of shop work right now. You are allowing yourself to come into that easing of difficulties, that easing of burdens. You're putting a lot of practical work. This is going to feel like a lot of housekeeping. This is going to feel like a lot of attention on anything that feels like, and this is going to be like, I got to say, this is masculine and feminine in divine union right now, sweating the small stuff. It is getting a little fastidious because it's almost like you're taking care of the big things, which is allowing you to take care of those smaller karmic energies that you want to just tie a bow in. You just want to clean up to a certain extent. Masculine and feminine that are moving into the divine union frequency, this is that moment of, again, ascertaining any of the energy that felt like it may have created a conflict point in a divine union forming, to help ascertain whether it feels like it is going to be a fixable problem or something or someone that you just need to kind of leave behind as you move forward in the formation of the divine union. For feminine, this feels much more like a moment of someone that was effectively like trying to like disrupt the foundation of the divine union, that piece being like challenged. It's harder for the feminine energy in this modality right now because feminine energy doesn't necessarily feel like this is something that can be let go, especially if this is something that's still around the masculine. Masculine, this is that moment that you may be trying to amplify to feminine right now, if in coming into divine union, that something isn't a big deal. And both of you are almost looking right now at that wait or see approach to help identify and recognize if that is the case. Masculine and feminine in separation right now, this is feminine energy, potentially, again, leaving themselves open to new opportunities, new possibilities with masculine, but amplifying what occurred in the past that again, led to them being in a point of separation. And what we see here with feminine, and this is why we see that the feminine in this modality right now is moving forward with such conviction, because this is feminine energy that feels like they almost had it. This is feminine energy that feels like they were so close to coming into divine union that they could almost taste it. And it was all for naught at the last moment, because this is almost feminine energy saying to the energy around them as they're moving forward right now, I took something, I did everything I could. I took it as far as I could. But at the last moment, the energy around me wasn't able to maintain that same level or degree of consistency. And then it all vanished. So masculine in that, feminine in that modality right now is literally articulating on that and saying again, that this is almost feminine freeing themselves of that weight, because this is a feminine looking at something and saying that the feminine doesn't feel like they did anything wrong in that modality, that the identification of what was wrong was someone else being able to manage that same level or degree of commitment and consistency. Masculine energy in separation right now, this is going to feel like a lot of a moment that feels very much like you're in the present modality. You're very much grounding in the present right now. Masculine right now, this could be feeling like a little bit of, it feels, I have to stress here, it's feeling a bit like a burden has been lifted from you, which feels like a relief, but there's almost something here that you feel like it feels like a burden that you're missing. It feels like, again, like in one way, it's almost like you're trying to shrug off something and say, oh, I feel much freer. It's almost giving me a lot of energy right now of masculine and separation, almost having a moment of being like, if I feel so much lighter, why do I also feel like sad? Why do I also feel like something that doesn't feel positive? It's like that. It's like that weight, that burden that like you may have want to say to yourself like, oh good, like I don't like, that's not like, you know, it's almost like missing that weight, if you will. It's like missing, it's like suddenly feeling like the burden itself was the gift. Like that in itself, it's like almost like that moment of feeling like something was lost, very valuable in terms of unburdening yourself in this way. And for the masculine right now, there could be this moment of trying to seek it, like trying to seek that energy right now in like passionate experiences, but there may be something about those passionate experiences feeling somewhat hollow, especially because you got so close to something that was different and then you lost it again. You got like that close and that like again, missing your glasses effect, if you will. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our 10 of Wands in its reversal in combination with our Page of Swords. No, one card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now. This is great. 9 of Swords in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy that are in divine union and partnership. This is simply that modality that we are seeing, that again, it is that sense of support that you are giving each other in divine union right now that is amplifying the viability and the strength of being in the divine union frequency. Because what we're effectively seeing right now is this moment of feeling like it's not that things aren't difficult. It's that you don't feel like you're going through it alone. It's navigating those burdens together. And how are we seeing that the divine union energies are experiencing that? Your burden is my burden. Your difficulty is my difficulty. Having that like that beautiful effect of like, you know, sharing a burden across multiple backs is going to lighten the load, if you will. This is what is happening right now energetically and spiritually for the energy that's in the divine union frequency, because it's almost that feeling of, again, not necessarily experiencing it entirely on your own self. It's almost liberating the energy to be able to tackle new problems, new circumstances, because that weight is evenly distributed in the divine union. Okay? Masculine and feminine right now that is coming into divine union, you could be feeling like something that may have felt like a big deal a few weeks ago, you couldn't care less about. Why can't you care less about it? Because again, what did I say? You just created a divine union. You don't feel like you're doing these things alone. You don't feel like you're doing them in a vacuum. Your burden is my burden. You are sharing it across the weight, evenly distributed across the divine union. And that energy is allowing you, again, that amplification of not even like worrying about it. It's almost creating like a careless, like a carefreeness on outside problems and situations, because it's almost this moment that you're looking at something and saying like, not my circus, not my monkeys. That's not our problem. It's not your problem because the divine union is now created and you're in it. So the outside opinions don't have as much weight on you because the value that you're putting on things is on the opinion of one another. Masculine and feminine energy that is in separation right now. This is feminine energy moving forward with a lot of confidence right now. And feminine energy almost feeling like this amplification of positivity as they move forward from this point, because this is feminine energy that's looking at something right now, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, and saying, this was not a failure point on the part of the feminine. This is a failure. This is a point of feminine being like, I did it. I did everything that I needed to. I felt that happening. I felt me moving into that divine union frequency. I can do it again. Feminine is literally, and feminine is almost, what's beautiful about this is almost feminine coming into that frequency themselves at this moment and looking to a certain extent and saying, I need to find an energy that understands same, that wants to create that with me as well. To find an energy that understands same, that wants to create that with me as well. Those outside issues coming around, but the importance and significance is that the value point and the priority is always on the union itself. Feminine masculine energy in separation right now. This is that moment that, again, you're potentially feeling there's something here that does feel like a burden has been lifted from you, but there's almost this feeling of like starting from scratch. There's something that you're now seeing. There's something that you're now seeing from a different optics. And there's, again, one of the things about this for the masculine is there's potentially something now that you've gotten some kind of, it's going to feel like a way for masculine being like, there was something that you feel like you had or you got close to having, and you're trying to recreate that feeling. The problem with masculine right now, especially, is this moment of potentially, feeling a point of confusion, especially if you were pulled away from having that with other energy around you right now. It's almost this moment potentially that you're feeling that you feel very much like free to do as you please, if you will. It's almost this moment potentially that you're feeling that you feel very much like free to do as you please, if you will. It's almost this moment, at least, if you will. like it's almost this moment of like looking around right now and feeling that like sense of like uncertainty as to like what direction to go into in separation right now. Because again, it may have been feeling, it almost potentially feels like, you moved away from something that was happening for the sake of something else, and now that thing is gone too. So it's almost like having you in this modality right now that feels like that point of uncertainty, because it's almost like looking right now and trying to say, what was I looking for that I found myself in this space? So there may be this moment right now for masculine that you're almost like feeling like you're starting anew, if you will. But even now, there's that point of understanding that you're experiencing that may be helping you recognize that you feel like you're missing something that you got very close to coming into. Continuing to get clarification right now between our Page of Swords in combination with our Nine of Wands in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Eight of Swords in its reversal. Masculine and feminine that are in divine union right now. This is that moment that we are effectively seeing that, again, it is that unburdening. It is that feeling of this is literally the divine union. This is more of that feeling of recognizing the space that the divine union frequency creates. Because again, when you are sharing each other's burdens, when you are balancing the weight of each other's difficulties on each other, it allows for a freeing of possibilities. It allows you to have that ability to like tackle the things that you wouldn't necessarily have the time or ability to tackle. So we see here that for the masculine and feminine energy in this modality, it's almost this point of recognizing that you're getting a little bit more fastidious. You're getting a little bit more energetically or spiritually fastidious right now because you're finding yourself not needing to over-obsess on the problems and circumstances because you don't feel like you're doing them in a vacuum. It's like feeling that weight of them being like energetically lifted off of you by the power of the divine union frequency. For the energy right now coming into the divine union frequency, this is that moment that, again, you're potentially feeling this right now. And it's this moment of, again, feeling some of the weight of the outside pressure, outside opinion, not having as much of an impact on you, because it's almost that moment of being like, it's there, but you don't care. It's there, but you don't care. And that sense of not caring, that sense of not caring about the outside opinion and doing things anyway right now is like the foundation of the divine union to a certain extent, because it's almost amplifying how the importance and the priority is the energy in the union itself. Feminine energy in separation right now. This is feminine energy that is like running. I like this. because this is feminine energy that is just like almost, especially if this just happened, this is feminine energy is just immediately throwing themselves back out into the world. This is feminine energy that's like actually has a lot of like almost excitement. This is more of a vitality than we've seen in the feminine energy in quite some time right now. Bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, because this is feminine energy that is almost taking this now as a point of excitement, as a point of optimism, of looking at something and being like, I did it. I almost got there with someone. We got so close, and almost that recognition point that it was not a failure point in the feminine, but a failure point potentially in the masculine energy that wasn't able to maintain that vibration in the face of the outside energy trying to knock it down. This is feminine energy, like almost like immediately like jumping back into the pool. This is feminine energy that like just like did a cannonball or almost did a cannonball and is like literally like, I need to go back in. No, I need to go back in right now. No, I can't lose it. I got really close. I know what I need to do now. So this is feminine energy just like raring to go right now and feeling in a way like that sense of excitement, if you will. So we love to see this right now for the feminine energy in this modality. Masculine energy in separation right now, this could feel a little bit different because that freeing energy right now may feel like a little bit more like a sense of uncertainty into what direction to move into. Especially if this is a circumstance or situation, masculine, where you feel you were pulled away from some kind of divine union that was forming from outside energy around you. This could be that moment that you feel a little confused, a little uncertain, a little bit like, not necessarily feeling like you almost had something and now it's gone, potentially trying to move back towards the energy that you had it with and feeling like that energy is almost closed off to you to a certain extent. While also potentially feeling right now that some of the energy around you, whatever you were looking for there, it feels somewhat like, again, it feels there's something about here that almost like is coming through as like some kind of feeling of like hollowness or something that feels like, again, it's like the thrill of something feels like it's kind of vanished to a certain extent. And it's that moment that is almost a point of recognition. It's almost that point of understanding. It's that point of like dawning realization to a certain extent that is, again, I'm getting here, it feels like it is liberating, but it also is potentially feeling like it could make you feel somewhat vulnerable right now. It could make you feel somewhat vulnerable because it's almost seeing something in a way that you hadn't necessarily seen it before and recognizing something in a way that you hadn't recognized it before. And almost like that optics, it could be giving you like something that like feels like it's helping you through, but it could be feeling like you do feel like a little exposed in it. Because it's almost like, again, that observation point in terms of feeling like you didn't see some aspect of yourself that now you're kind of seeing. And almost potentially seeing something from like a different perspective that you hadn't necessarily identified before. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our 10 of Cups in its reversal and our 9 of Swords in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our King of Pentacles. Masculine and feminine in divine union right now. This is that feeling of stability that's coming into circumstances and situations right now. What are we saying that is happening right now in the frequency of divine union? Effectively, we are recognizing to a certain extent that this is masculine and feminine. This is feminine, again, feeling masculine is trying to lead with love right now in divine union. Masculine is trying to like work on building that sense of stability and security, but also at a point where their own heart space is open. Feminine is being a little bit more hesitant in terms of navigating in that way, because feminine has had experiences wherein that hasn't necessarily served them in the best way possible. Masculine, what is masculine saying right now to feminine in divine union that is helping the feminine build that center of confidence? This is masculine energy that is almost saying to the feminine right now, if in the divine union frequency, you don't need to be worried about your heart space. I'm not going to let anything harm your heart space. I'm not going to let that happen. This is masculine energy that is almost amplifying and taking the lesson from the feminine being in divine union and saying, that's not going to happen again because I'm never going to let it. This is almost the masculine embodying the experiences of the feminine and saying, I recognize that those things have happened in the past, but the difference, and this is literally masculine saying to the feminine to a certain extent, the difference was that I was not there. The difference was that we were not together. The difference is that we were not in the divine union, which is why you don't need to fear those things, because I'm not going to let those things happen. And this, again, for the masculine, healing these energies around the divine union right now. This is masculine feeling like they're like, this is further shop work. This is like a masculine energy that's been like working on like building the house of the divine union and then like building the fence around the house and then needing to take care of the yard outside of the house. This is masculine energy that's like almost like spreading their own domain in terms of like being able to like build that center of care and almost saying to the feminine, like, that sense of stability that I'm trying to create is not just one that I'm trying to create for myself. I'm trying to create it for my both of us, which is why you don't need to worry about those things. Feminine, potentially, if in divine union right now, you're seeing a masculine in this modality. You're feeling a masculine energy that like is putting practical effort into navigating any circumstances or situations that cause you any degree of anxiety or doubt or fear. This is masculine energy almost immediately coming forward and being like, what have I been saying over the last few days? This is like that energy of masculine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, of masculine, like almost like energetically and spiritually being like, I've got a hammer, just show me the nail. Just show me what I need to fix. I will find a tangible solution to the emotional, spiritual problem that we are having. Masculine and feminine that are moving into the divine union frequency. This is masculine employing the same tactic to a certain extent, especially as it relates to any energy that was around the divine union forming that was causing any point of upset or potentially feeling like it was trying to dismantle the divine union. This is masculine almost, again, immediately assuring the feminine and saying, you don't have anything to fear. If this is feminine almost articulating their own doubts and fears on some of that energy and what their intentions were, this is masculine energy almost immediately coming forward to articulate and say to the feminine, you don't have anything to worry about. You don't have anything to worry about. You don't have anything to worry about because I've got that. I've got that point of stability. I've got that point of security. I've got this moment that you've got. You don't have to worry about those things. I'm not going to let anyone disrupt what we're creating together. Feminine seeing this immediately is feeling the amplification of being able to stay in the divine union frequency, because this is a masculine energy that's, again, what is the masculine energy doing? They are holding forth on their manifestation goal in the presence of energy that feels like it was trying to disrupt and challenge what the masculine was trying to create, i.e. the divine union. Feminine seeing this, very, very similar energy we're seeing. This is almost immediately moving you into the divine union frequency. Feminine energy, if in separation right now, this is feminine energy that, again, feminine energy is not waiting listlessly for energy. Feminine energy is moving almost immediately back out to seek out masculine energy. And what is the manifestation that feminine seeking in masculine right now? Consistency. An ability to stay consistent even in the face of outside energy trying to disrupt what the masculine is trying to manifest. That level or degree of stability in holding forth and not allowing themselves to be adjusted or accommodated by the waves of change around them. A masculine that shows an ability to hold forth and create in the midst of that. That is what the feminine is seeking right now. And the feminine is, again, moving right now with a lot of determination towards those points. And again, almost looking right now potentially at new opportunities of masculine energy to determine if they have that ability of consistency, if they have that ability of holding on to what it is that they're trying to manifest and not letting outside opinion flag or waver it. Masculine energy in separation right now, this is a point of personal understanding that is helping you build a sense of conviction on it, what it is you're truly seeking at this time. And for a lot of the masculine energy, this is going to feel like a lot of concentration right now in the tangible reality, because we are identifying a moment that we are seeing to a certain extent for masculine energy in this modality right now that is requiring you to kind of go into that period of focusing on one's own self. The difficulty or hurdle right now for masculine is, feeling in a way that you're doing it entirely for yourself right now. And one of the things that we see here, but this is important because this does feel like a bit of a maturation process, if you will. What we're almost identifying right now for a lot of the masculine energy in this modality right now is this point where you are it's coming through almost like a point of personal maturation. It's coming into that point of observation in terms of what it means to effectively kind of follow those winds of change, if you will, and be open to anything, versus moving from a point of stability, moving from a point of decision, moving from a point of determinative action. And it's going to feel different because one of these energies feels like they kind of just go where the wind takes them, while the other energy stays firmly where they are and allows those things, creates what they're trying to create in those moments of creation. So for masculine energy right now, there could be a moment of observing kind of where you were versus where you are now. And it's that point of understanding and observation that is starting to, again, build that sense of conviction for yourself in terms of asking yourself, where does that start? Where does your stability begin? And where are you able to create that point of stability for yourself that isn't going to be affected by the energy around you, as it were? Continuing to get clarification in our cards right now between our 9 of Wands in its reversal in combination with our 8 of Swords in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our 8 of Pentacles. Masculine and feminine in divine union right now. This is that moment that we see that you're just putting your work in. You're just doing what you need to do. This is why we see right now for the energy that's in divine union. This is any place or space that feels like it's causing any point of doubt, uncertainty, fear. You're not letting yourself dwell on it. You're just looking at it as from a practical perspective. And you're saying, well, is there something that we can tangibly do to address an intangible dilemma? Literally articulating, is there something that we can tangibly do to adjust for an intangible dilemma? It's a lot of that practicality coming into play. Masculine and feminine, you're both reflecting this on each other right now. Masculine and feminine that are coming into divine union right now, it's the same frequency. What can we tangibly do to navigate an intangible dilemma? And that intangible dilemma could be a lot of that feeling of outside energy around the divine union forming that feels like it was trying to impact or pull the divine union apart. This is almost that moment of seeing and having that point. It's going to feel more for the energy coming into the divine union frequency now of assessing things and saying what is something that we can control or something that we just need to ignore? What can we actually tangibly address versus something we just need to walk away from? Feminine energy that is in separation. This is feminine energy just going right at it. This is feminine energy that's feels like this point of optics and recognizing that they came very close to something. But that point of articulating that they came very close to something and the outside forces effectively allowed the energy not to necessarily come into divine union. This is feminine doing, again, everything I keep saying here. What they did once, they can do again. This is feminine almost immediately saying to themselves, like, I can do this again because I saw the fact that I did it. This is feminine almost articulating to other energy and being like, I did it. Like, I was doing those things. I was in, like, I was so close to being in divine union. And this is feminine almost saying, like, I'm going back there. I'm immediately doing this. Almost feminine, like being like, I'm not going to let myself even lose that modality. I'm going to keep in this space or place. This is feminine energy, if in separation, trying to hold the frequency of what it felt like to almost be in divine union to help them kind of move back into that frequency. This is why feminine energy is rushing back in right now, because feminine energy doesn't want to lose the work. Feminine energy doesn't want to lose the work that they did, because this is feminine energy, again, almost saying, like, it was so close. I know I can continue forward in that way. I just need to find energy that is similarly invested in maintaining that frequency with me. Masculine energy in separation right now, this is that moment that we are effectively seeing wherein this is a lot of masculine energy. This is concentrating a lot more in doing things that feel much more on the tangible effort and the tangible world. This is masculine energy right now, potentially, and it feels a little isolating. I got to say, the masculine energy in separation right now, there's something about this feeling that, again, especially if you moved away from a feminine that you were about to come into divine union with by outside energies, it's almost like that energy right now. It's almost like that question of saying, like, what was that for? Why did I make this choice? Where am I right now? Because we're almost seeing here that for the masculine, it's almost feeling like a point of, like, not recognizing or feeling a little confused about what decisions you were going to make, because it's almost this, like, moment of feeling like, it's like, where did everybody go, or what's happened here? Because, like, the feminine energy that, like, pulled you away, I'm not even seeing that around you right now, nor are you able to come back in connection with the feminine energy that you are leading towards right now. So it's almost like you're kind of, like, very much in separation right now. And we see that a lot of the masculine energy in this modality right now is almost just focusing on the tangible, putting a lot of care and effort right now on your own work, on the things that you can actually, like, impact, like, on the tangible realm right now. Because there is this moment of, like, seeking something, but not necessarily feeling like you can put your finger on it. Because, again, you were very close to having something, and it was effectively pulled away from it by outside energy. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our King of Pentacles in combination with our Eight of Pentacles. Final card for today, Knight of Cups in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy in divine union and partnership right now. This is what we're effectively seeing. This is that moment of, again, masculine effectively continuing to want to potentially extend some kind of laurel branch to things right now. This is the masculine energy. This is all about the masculine energy right now, if in divine union, wanting to mend some fences, wanting to come into some point of healing, wanting to address some energy around them that they feel like they have some kind of, like, circumstance or issue around that needs that point of repair. This is masculine almost like further amplifying that to a certain extent. And again, almost saying to a certain extent, and this is why we see that the masculine energy in divine union right now is amplifying this. This is masculine energy trying to do a lot of work right now, if in divine union, to clear anything that feels like an unhealed karmic wound. Because this is masculine energy that wants to look at these situations and circumstances and say, with a point of positivity, I've done everything I can do to heal it. I did everything on my side. I can look at myself and say, I did what was necessary to try to come into a good space or place. This is almost a masculine saying, I'm not doing this, just for my heart space. I'm doing this in, like, almost a practical way. This is masculine taking, like, that desire in this way and putting it into a practical space. This is masculine saying, like, I need to show myself that I can do these things, because in a way it's almost showing masculine's own ability in divine union to really almost, have a point of accountability for who you used to be outside of it. You know what I mean? This is almost amplifying. This is like masculine doing a lot of this like work in healing the past self by doing everything you can right now to have accountability for what that past self did. Feminine, you may be seeing this right now. And again, I feel like feminine is looking at these things with a bit more caution, because feminine is worried about this potentially, I'm getting here. Feminine's more worried about potentially opening up wounds here rather than closing them. So we're seeing here that even now there's this moment that we're identifying wherein the feminine is looking at what the masculine's doing with like a little bit more caution, because feminine isn't necessarily like, this is almost feeling, I gotta say, like energetical or spiritual, like cleaning, I want to say like cleaning of a wound, like opening something up to clean it. And masculine's looking at it and being like, I know what I'm doing. No, this will be fine. And feminine's being like, yeah, but when you do that, you could also like open up anything at it's almost like feminine's looking more at like the variables, if you will. Like there's much more anxiety and caution that's happening around these circumstances and situations to a certain extent. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, this is that moment that we are amplifying and seeing, wherein this is looking at the energy that was against the formation of the divine union. Masculine is looking at it more from a point of productivity. Masculine is trying to look at it more as a harmlessness. Masculine saying, this is something I can fix. Whatever this is, I can fix this. Feminine is potentially looking at it more exactly as I said, the same thing as the energy that's in divine union, which is like, really? Can you fix it? Is there something that can be fixed here? Feminine's putting faith in masculine, like trying to give support, but with that point of like caution and being like, I don't know if this is something that's fixable. Masculine and feminine that are in separation, this is why we see that the feminine energy is just rushing right. If this is feminine energy that just came into separation because of a masculine that could be pulled away from masculine, from almost being in divine union at the last minute by energy around them, this is feminine that's not wasting a single breath waiting on that energy, because feminine is just closed up to that energy now. Feminine's almost looking at something and saying nothing can be the same. Feminine's just putting their work right now and looking for a masculine energy that has that ability or degree to hold firm on what they're trying to manifest. Feminine may even be entertaining some of this old energy around them right now, but again, it's like forgiven but not forgotten. It's holding that point of, again, the masculine coming towards them at this time, and feminine, like, again, potentially even allowing a point of access, but they're not open. Their heart space is like, it's literally like something was about to blossom and it just turned to stone. Because feminine can't unsee what they saw. Masculine, if there's masculine that has a point of time or space as a divine union is forming, they're not articulating or clarifying what it is. Feminine knows what it is. Feminine knows. Feminine knows what that blank spot was. Feminine knows what that blank spot is. Feminine knows if the masculine was about to move into divine union and suddenly got all quiet on them and doesn't want to answer things. Feminine knows. And this is feminine that almost, again, it's like not the fact that the feminine's moving away from that energy. They're just moving forward. Because feminine's seeing that masculine that lack the conviction in holding firm in a divine union in the face of outside energy. Feminine energy is just immediately committing themselves back to finding a masculine that's able to hold firm in what they're trying to manifest. Masculine energy, if in separation right now, you may be feeling like you're trying to reach out to a lot of energy that may have been accessible. This may have been the same energy that was pulling you away from a divine union recently with all of these opportunities and things. Suddenly they've all dried up. And this could be a moment right now for masculine where you're concentrating on the task back to like your work. Because again, it's almost this feeling of feeling like it could feel like a little bit of feast and famine. Like there was a lot of energy around you. And now it's like there's, there's a lot of that passion here, but not necessarily anywhere to put it. Bottom of the deck on this reading right now is Queen of Wands in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy right now, if in divine union and partnership, this is that moment that we are effectively seeing that again. Feminine, this is more about the feminine having that point of anxiety right now as it relates in the divine union and partnership. In terms of feminine feeling, masculine right now is very much in that modality of trying to create, of trying to build these fences and bridges, of trying to build these things. Feminine is much more conscientious about this right now. Feminine is moving from a state or space of more anxiety, of more fear. This is a feminine energy that, again, almost sees the masculine in this modality right now and feels that point of anxiety because feminine is feeling very overly protective of masculine, like taking the energy of that emotionality and making sure that they're protective of it. So this is almost amplifying in the feminine energy, almost feeling a little overly protective as they see masculine moving in that modality right now. An almost feminine feeling to a certain extent, like masculine energy is like underplaying or downplaying feminine energy's own doubts and fears to a certain extent. So even in the divine union right now, this could be a feminine energy that's feeling a little bit of frustration of being like, masculine's not taking my concerns the way that I would expect them to. Because in a way, it's like feminine feeling like masculine is underplaying it. Same right now for the energy coming into divine union. This is feminine potentially like feeling like the masculine is underplaying those doubts and those fears. Masculine and feminine in separation. This is feminine energy that feels a lot of that frustration right now as it relates to feeling like this idea or desire to find the companionate energy. Because what feminine is effectively realizing right now is feminine feels like, to a certain extent, potentially, that feminine is moving in modality right now that's very hard in separation because feminine is feeling that anxiety or that frustration because whatever the feminine was trying to move away from, it's that feeling that the feminine energy was not heard. It was not listened to. Like the feminine energy effectively almost tried to warn the masculine that would happen and it wasn't taken the way that it should, right? So for the feminine right now, it's even that moment that's like coming through right now, even as they're moving forward at this time, that like even some of that past energy is coming towards the feminine right now. And the feminine energy can't even fully communicate and articulate what they see because the masculine won't share it with them. So this is either, again, feminine energy that's dealing with old energy, trying to come back to them after something like this occurred and feeling like the feminine isn't open to the masculine because the masculine isn't being fully open to them. Or this is feminine energy taking a wait and see approach with new masculine energy that they're moving towards right now. Because this is feminine energy that's dealing with that sense of injustice. Masculine energy in separation right now. This could be feeling like a lot of the feminine energy around you right now is just like not really there. It's almost like feeling right now like, again, like that energy isn't very communicative. It isn't very open. Because this is almost a feminine energy that, again, masculine, you may be feeling like you had this like connection with the feminine energy and now it's dissolved. And you may be feeling like this confusion point because it's like that point of articulation has disappeared. And it's, in a way, it's feeling like, again, it's like this feminine energy isn't necessarily communicating to you as fully. Well, it's because this is potentially why. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you'd like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber ID at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you would like to have that reading. Most importantly, most importantly, please, 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 please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never PM you. I will never DM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I want to thank you guys so much for being here with me today and sharing with me in these messages. And we will do this again tomorrow.